Hey everybody, the trolls are already here. Anyway, this is a slightly different departure to what we normally do. On a Sunday we do Q&A, but this week all the questions revolve around the same three type of issues. And they are, where are we going from here? What's going to happen next week at the FOMC? Talking about the SEC and MicroStrategy and congestion issues. So let's just jump in as usual. Big thank you to everybody for being here. Happy Sunday. It's been a rough week. It's probably visible on my face. Anyway, let's go. Math, money, freedom. And this is edutainment. So first of all, today's story, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and the cloud, which is the FOMC, maybe a little bit of a Ukrainian cloud too. We're going to go through a bunch of indicators and give you some perspective on where we are, where we could be going, and how to make decisions based on that. We're also going to tackle some MicroStrategy stuff. They got absolutely pummeled on Friday. We're going to talk about why that is, and some accounting, but it'll be very short. I promise not to make it too tedious. And then we talk about some Robinhood. Eventually, for those people who have a Robinhood account and want to get their crypto off, the future might be close, which is good. And we'll talk about congestion and a bunch of other stuff. So let's go. So first of all, the FOMC Dark Cloud. It's not a question of if, but how much. Now, what we mean by that is everybody saying, well, they'll increase 25 basis points, 1/4%, and then go back and start quantitative easing again. Or there could be 3 or 4 rate hikes, which could take us up to 1 full percentage point. I think no matter what they do, I think the economy has a lot of headwinds. There's a lot of uncertainty. Stock market got a shellacking over last week. We're under the 200-day moving average on the Nasdaq. Crypto is kind of half off all across the board. And we'll see what happens. But for politicians to get reelected, they've got to be very, very careful. Yes, they need to control inflation, but they can't because the debt is too high. We're beyond the tipping point. Covered that a million times. So we'll see what happens. I personally think, and just knowing the markets for a long time, it's always kind of like buy the rumor, sell the news. And that is a lot of this price action, this Fed threat of an interest rate hike, tapering, etc., is already priced in. I think, yes, there could be some more selling tomorrow and maybe into the week until Wednesday. So expect 3 days of bumpiness, like we anticipated a little bit last week, but it's mostly done for now. I mean, some of the tech names that are on sale, it's crazy. And Bitcoin too, and we'll talk a lot about Bitcoin today as well. So that's my thought. Jerome Powell has a very tight line to walk. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. We'll see what he does. But I think he has to do a little bit of saber rattling, jack a little bit of a rate that will put the lid on things, and they say, yeah, inflation's fixed, when really it's not. Anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin fundamentals. This is from Documenting Bitcoin. Bitcoin fundamentals have never looked better, never been stronger. If you look at all the good stuff that's happening all across the world, all of the Lightning Network activity, the hash rate hitting an all-time high, network uptime 99.987% since inception in 2009, and the node distribution extremely widely dispersed. So nothing but goodness there for Bitcoin. Fundamentals are rock solid despite what happens. So let's talk about Bitcoin recovery windows. I did tweet this 2 days ago, but I was trying to give people some calmness and explain exactly what happens. But 50% corrections are very, very normal with this beast. So what this chart kind of indicates is the average correction duration is 89 days. The average correction for Bitcoin is 57%. The average gains after correction is 362%. That's a very, very important number. So, and then the average period to recover is 257 days. But that's very important. That includes 2 big long bear markets and recovery periods of 1,079 days and 1,181 days. Oh, whoops. I just found out I had no slides. Whoops. Oh, well, let me go back real quick. Make sure you guys can see. There you are. This is the Dark Cloud slide. And I'm sorry for that not showing, but that was Dark Cloud graphic. And then the fundamentals regarding Bitcoin never been stronger. So all good there. Boom. I had the wrong camera on. Apologies for that. But this is the real important slide I want you guys to get a feel for. I tweeted this 2 days ago, as I mentioned. I just walked through the different correction durations, 89 days. Very, very important. The average correction takes just 3 months. The average correction dip is 57%. And the average gains after that correction, 362%. and the average period to recover is 257. But the key number here is the average period to recover, excluding bear markets, which takes out those big numbers of 1,079 days and 1,181 days and 631 days, which is basically 3-4 years in some cases. When you remove those, the average period to recover back to all-time highs is 64 days, which is a very, very short window of time. Now, I know people are kind of hurt and shocked and distressed, but again, sometimes it's the darkest days, and going into the market on the darkest days is when the real money is made. Now, let's talk about downtrend durations again. I hope the slides are still showing. Yes, they are. Good. So I had to check that. So during the summer, we had the summer doldrums, as I call it. We were down for 95 days. Right now, the duration so far to date of this is 73 days. So not saying we're going to mimic what we did during the summer, but if we do, we only have 22 days left, which is good. So we'll see. Let's look at a couple more things. First of all, if you look at the hash rate, everybody's talking about the hash rate hitting an all-time high. This means the security of the network is at an all-time high. Again, the fundamentals are extremely strong, and I have always believed that price follows the hash rate. The more secure the asset, the more penetrable it is, the more confidence people have to jump in, and therefore price typically follows. That's what I've seen. I know people sometimes say it's the other way around. I don't think so, but we'll see. I think this is a positive thing. Again, signaling a very strong community, strong miners, strong support during this particular market downturn, which is good. Now let's talk about the RSI. In this chart here, you'll see the RSI is at a 679-day low. We haven't had such a low RSI since March 2020, the C19 crash, where Bitcoin lost half its value in a day. So think about that. Bitcoin for us has lost half its value in 70-something days. But there, back then it did in a day, but it also rebounded in a day too. So this kind of should give us all, typically, when you see the RSI, which is an indication of how much something is overbought or oversold, we are dramatically oversold. And you can take that to the bank, but typically when everything or anything is in the oversold zone to this extent, it's a positive sign. And I'm not slinging hopium here. I'm just going to say what the numbers say and how assets typically respond after this. Now, this is kind of the key thing I want to get across to you all. So we are 14% off the summer lows, which happened 6 months ago. So if in doubt, zoom out. You can see here, I painted on the chart a little red box, which is the delta between the summer low, which is also the indication of what I call steps, and where we are today. We broke through, unfortunately, that $40,000 support, and now we are dipping deep into it. But a couple of things to point out from this chart is, one, we are now about 27% or $13,500 under the 200-day moving average. That rarely happens. And second of all, buying Bitcoin at 30% under the 200-day moving average has typically been a very, very good time to buy. Now, the big thing here is, okay, we could go back to the summer lows of 30,000, but that's only 14% from here. But what are the odds we'll go in the other direction? So let's get to an EV calculation in a minute. But before, I want to show you some other data. This is Bitcoin under the 200-day moving average. And you can see historically, like even in summer 2021, we did breach the 200-day moving average, but not much, not to the level we are breaching it now. Of course, the 200-day moving average goes up over time because the price action goes up over time. Bitcoin goes up over time. We all know that, but that's kind of an interesting one to look at. Remember, Bitcoin doesn't live under the 200-day moving average for long. Second of all, we are even under the 400-day moving average. Now remember, the 400-day moving average is basically double the 200-day moving average, but you can see during the summer, we bounced off of the 400-day moving average. Again, indicated by the step, the green step, that's the $30,000 level. And now we've smashed right through the 400-day moving average. Again, historically, it's a good time to layer in if you have any resources left. Now, I know a lot of people have been buying the dip. So let's zoom out again one more time and show you another graphic. And this is from Alistair Milne on Twitter. And he says he has an endless supply of hopium. But I kind of thought this was an important historical perspective. So if you look at the chart here on the left, you will see the Nasdaq range in the years 1999 to 2012. That was during the dot-com bubble, etc., etc. And I lived through that, watched it. But just the pattern itself, I found uncanny because I remember this distinctly. That M-shaped pattern. See the up MM in between the ranges? Now, what happened after that is just parabolic action for the next number of years between 2012 and today. Non-stop parabolic action. Now, the question is, what is Bitcoin likely to do? Remember, the Nasdaq is a big, chunky index full of companies, good, bad, and indifferent. But Bitcoin, we're exactly in that same type of M-shaped range. The question is, can we hold that 36K support? And if so, where do we go from here? There's no doubt in my mind that the future for Bitcoin is very bright. If you're in this game for the next 3 to 5 years or even longer, you're going to be well taken care of. And it's just mathematically programmed to go up. And we're so early in adoption. But there's more. Let's look at the 200-week moving average. Again, here we are. You can see the historical cycles. We had some red parts. When it's red, it means the monthly increase above the 200-week moving average is extremely high, and it happens very fast. We haven't had any of that action during this run so far, and that's why many believe we are still in a bull run. Again, not slinging hope in here, but just saying the fact that historically, the frenzy, the blow off top, none of that stuff has happened. We haven't even gotten close to it. So we'll see if this will truly be a lengthening cycle. But I just want to share one last thing with you, a little bit of math, a simple calculation you can all do on the back of a napkin. This is what I call simple expected value scenarios. Okay, so imagine we have a 50% chance Bitcoin falls to 30,000, or a 50% chance it goes back to 68,000. What is the expected value of those two scenarios if you give them 50-50 chance? Again, 50% chance of a 14% fall plus 50% chance of 50% gain back up to the all-time highs. The answer is 49,400. So, and people sometimes they're throwing in the towel. They're like, oh, should I invest now? No, I don't trust it. I'm going to go back to mutual funds or whatever else. Remember, this is a very different asset class, and this is a very unique point in time in history. So just think about that. Create your own scenarios. You got people talking about 20K, them talking about 20K all last year. Never happened. Will it happen now? Doubt it. If there's a big black swan event, possible, but highly unlikely. And per DCA Friday with Ben and Rob, Ben went into great detail about how, like I believe, 30K is probably that support level, the same support level we held all summer. So create your own numbers, do your own expected value. But will we get back to where we were 70 days ago, 68,800? Yes, we will. I just don't know when. But it could be soon. Because historically, the rebound happens within 64 days. These are just numbers. History. I know things are a lot longer now. Cycles are longer. But also markets fall and crash much faster than ever before too. So next thing, we're going to talk about MicroStrategy. A lot of you had a lot of concern. We're going to switch gears and talk about accounting. So this is a piece that MicroStrategy stock makes new 52-week lows as SEC rejects non-GAAP Bitcoin accounting per Bloomberg. And a lot of people were freaking out. MicroStrategy is selling completely under its intrinsic value, even 15% under its Bitcoin holdings. And there's a lot of concern about this. But rest assured, arbitrageurs like myself will always identify value and trade accordingly, especially with this type of, big disparity between actual value. So before we jump into talking about what it means, we're going to look at the history again. A quick reminder. First of all, these are all the Bitcoin acquisitions that MicroStrategy has made since inception. They began on August 11th, 2020 with 21,000 Bitcoin and have been layering in ever since. They don't pick the bottoms, but they did some good purchases in June 2021. I remember I made a lot of purchases myself in June 22nd, which was the summer bottom. That was the capitulation time. Remember, when we capitulate, that's when you run into the burning building, everybody. Sounds scary, but those with the courage to do that get paid handsomely at the end of the day. Now, the most recent purchase was December 31st, and you can see now they have about 124,000 Bitcoin. And that's about 0.01138 Bitcoins per share today. Again, according to me as well, I believe there'll never be more than 14 million Bitcoin. Therefore, these guys are 15,000 Bitcoin away from having 1% of all the Bitcoin, which is huge. And it will pay dividend. Just like Bitcoin, be patient. People will kind of realize the value. And Bitcoin will rebound, and so will MicroStrategy stock price. So just hang tight for now, everybody. Now let's look at some more numbers. This is the MicroStrategy Bitcoin unrealized profit on holdings. Yes, Bitcoin is beaten down a lot, but they are still up $640 million in profit from trading over the last, 20 months or so that they've been buying and accumulating Bitcoin. So 640 million is not bad. They were up over 3 billion a few weeks ago, but that's just the nature of the beast. Now, if you look here as well as the bottom right-hand corner of this chart, you'll see the actual Bitcoin value as a percentage of market cap. It's 112.79%, which means minus 12.79% of the discount, and that doesn't even include any intrinsic value for the business itself. Remember, before MicroStrategy even bought any Bitcoin, they were valued at 1.2 billion. So think about that. Take that 12.79% discount, add in 1.2 billion, and that's the math. So they have had to make some crazy write-downs. But let's explain exactly what the SEC and MicroStrategy are having. Nothing has changed. Just the MicroStrategy asked for a change in accounting rule treatment. SEC said no. Okay, so let me explain what it all means. First of all, SEC objects to MicroStrategy from using non-GAAP principles to show what its income would have been if it didn't have an impairment charge. Okay, it's going to be really, really tedious, but let me explain a simple scenario. Imagine MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin at 50K, puts it on the books at 50K. My Bitcoin falls to 40K. They need to, in their quarterly earnings report, write down that asset by 10,000. Now, the real problem is the SEC says they can't adjust the price upwards to reflect reality. And the SEC says MicroStrategy can never report a higher value of Bitcoin to reflect reality. And the SEC does not let you adjust the value up on your books, only down. It's kind of so bizarre. It's kind of crazy. The other way to think about that is Bitcoin price goes up. SEC wants you to ignore that. So if the asset is impaired, goes down 30K again, they have to take that hit. Bitcoin goes to 500,000. They can't acknowledge it on their books that they made a gain, even though the assets reflect it. So it's like we're going back to caveman GAAP accounting days. It just makes absolutely no sense. This is what MicroStrategy was protesting. And again, the SEC wants to continue promulgating bad accounting rules that do not let companies actually report their proper assets. It is stupidity. That's the issue. So we'll see what happens. But again, it's very clear what they have, how much they hold, and the intrinsic value of the business. So it'll shake it off. It's nothing has changed to the business. Just the accounting rules are broken. That's it. So let's talk about congestion. First of all, a lot of talk out there about, Solana was congested again, especially during the Friday volatility with liquidations. When things are volatile in the market, it puts extra stress on the blockchain. And the team are working around the clock. There was a team of developers I saw were working for 40 hours straight to solve some of the problem. But a couple of things I want you to remember is, one, Solana is still in beta. It is not finished. And despite that, it's growing like a weed. Solana also have a very big war chest to draw from and address these issues. And they have their most recent amount, I think they raised about 330 million in June 2021. So that's it. But let's talk about another thing is, some people forget this. Number one, I am not the Solana Helpdesk, okay? Solana is one of my 7 big investment bets. It's my 3rd largest crypto holding, all right, after Bitcoin and Ethereum. I want that to be perfectly clear. My 7th largest holding overall, after things like Tesla and Google, Amazon, etc. So please, if something's wrong with Solana, it's not my fault. And it's still, over the last 11 months, up 850%, even despite the downturn. And it's been one of the best investments I made last year. So the reason as well, I can't sell, even if I sold at the top at 220, 230, whatever. Half of it would be taken because it's all short-term capital gains, so I can't sell, so I'm stuck. Therefore, I hold. I didn't hedge. My mistake. Now, another guy who's also not the help desk for Solana is Anatoly Yakovenko. He is the head guy over at Solana Labs, and he was tweeting back to somebody. So Solana is a framework, everybody, that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies build on. Solana Labs did not build something that caused congestion. They didn't build a wallet. They didn't choose the infrastructure or even the Explorer, etc. This is all chosen by people that build on the chain, the blockchain. Because it's kind of decentralized, they don't mandate what people do or use. They let them do whatever. And he mentioned here, said if a team chooses to eat glass, that's their prerogative. And then when things get broken or congested, they have to fix it. Remember, it's in beta. So I just want to share that. And also I want to share that Solana is not the only blockchain to get congested. We saw the TPS for Cardano at 0.15 transactions per second versus about 3,000 with Cardano. And it's saying it is 10x slower than the slowest L1 chain and 66,000 times slower than Cosmos and Terra. Also, Polygon was congested because of some sunflower farms, and Ethereum gets congestion on occasion, etc. So again, congestion is a plague of successful chains that get highly adopted and highly used. So just remember that as well when you invest. Now, this article did come out, though, 2 days ago. From a guy called Financial Insane. I thought his name was very funny. I don't know if that's his real name or not. But he believes that a relief rally to 200 could be in sight. I think that's a little too much hopium right now. But think about it, though. Solana was $200 26 days ago. So we'll see. I know a lot of you asked me to do more Solana content. So here it is. Anyway, now a little bit of perspective too. Just, sometimes I get trolled. I'll just leave this here. 1 year, Cardano's down 2%. Solana's up by 853%. And that is just, people ask me, do I regret ever investing in Solana? Hell no. Yes, they're having problems. But like anything, the more volatile the asset, the more the return. Just the nature of investing. So I'm still holding my Solana. Now, good time to get paid in Bitcoin? Heck yeah. So New York City Mayor Eric Adams told CNN's Dana Bash he isn't worried after cryptocurrency crash shortly after he converted his first paycheck to Bitcoin. Who cares? And also the heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC got $300,000 in Bitcoin. So when you dollar cost average in at this price, what does he have? 10 Bitcoin, maybe 9 Bitcoin from his fight, which could be worth $9 million in 5 or 8 years. That's pretty substantial. So again, the downturn is not deterring these people. Final piece of news, everybody. Robinhood is testing their beta crypto wallets, allowing select customers to transfer off the platforms. About 1,000 customers are using it. I'm on the waiting list. I have a little bit of stuff on Robinhood. It was a very easy on-ramp a couple of years ago when all my other on-ramps to exchanges were kind of overflowed. So I did, in full disclosure, put some money on Robinhood, and I used it to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's still sitting there right now. But I'm looking forward to the day when we get it off and send our crypto to others at other places and do good things with it on the Celsius platform. So with that, everybody, I want to wish you all a happy Sunday. I hope I covered most of the things that are on your minds. And that's what we do here. We listen to the audience. We listen to their pain, their anxiety, their questions, and we try shed some light. Okay. And this session today was brought to you by coffee. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hang tough.